Hey, I'm about to hit all of you with an extremely hot take. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time? Hey, it's pretty good. Let's talk about the bosses and the mini bosses in it today, because I think that they're, some of the best parts of the game. Let's rank them. But before we get to it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate everybody who does that. Leave a comment too. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Okay, let's get to it. Let's start off with our number one, which is a Gohma. Parasitic armored Arachnid. It's a good first boss. I think it really sells what the generational jump was, right, for Zelda. So, like before this, we had the Super Nintendo and everything, and this really sells, hey, these bosses are going to be pretty big. But, going back and replaying it, it really is an easy boss. And can be over like before any of like the real cool stuff happens in it. Like you can beat her before she lays any eggs, before you even have to deal with any of the little guys. And so for me, I think she's gonna be B tier. We're gonna hit our first mini boss, sub boss, whatever you want to call him, with the Lizalfos. How do I feel about this guy? I think he's pretty lame. I think that he looks cool in his picture here, right? In the picture down there, in the concept art, he looks awesome. But when you look at his model in the game, it's a little underwhelming. And the sounds he makes don't really help either with the intimidation factor or anything. Plus, you end up just fighting them like normal enemies. And so it's always going to kind of bring it down a little bit. Not dogging on him, but I think he's going to be a D tier. For me. I don't hate him, but definitely not something where I'm like, yeah, what a cool boss experience. King Dodongo, the Infernal Dinosaur, is a really cool boss. I think I'll go A tier on this one because same strengths as Gohma, really big, but a fun dynamic. Again, but and the same thing goes with Gohma, taking what was the strategy for beating these bosses in those 2D early Zelda games and bring them into the third dimension. They're just doing it really successfully. It's a cool combat arena. It's cool when he dies. Just overall, I think this is a really fun one. Big Octo, another sub boss. I'm gonna be putting in B tier. I like this one way more than the Lizalfos because, for starters, like you're not fighting them all the time later in the game. They don't like just kind of get downgraded to a boss you fight all the time. It is kind of annoying going around. It actually is annoying. Let's take that down to C tier. Sorry, I almost got too excited there. It's annoying to have to chase it around like the spinny spikes and everything. So that kind of brings it down. But I do like the design of it. I think that it's cool. Barinade, the bioelectric Anemone. Wow, there's some things that like you just read like your whole life, and then you go to say it out loud, and you're like, I probably didn't do that right. But we're not going to worry about taking another go at that one. I'm not a real big fan of this boss. I'm not a big fan of this dungeon in general. Escort mission. What is it with water levels having like bunches of like different levels that you have to deal with and everything? I don't know, man. It just doesn't work for me. And the boss feels more like a Star Fox boss than something I should be fighting in Zelda. It's a good use of the weapon that you get, right? It works with the boomerang well and everything, but I'm just not impressed by it. I'm gonna go D tier, but I'm gonna go above Lizalfos. Stalfos is gonna have the same kind of negatives that the Lizalfos has, but he is cooler. For starters, he's a skeleton. Skeletons automatically cooler than lizards. I think that's just like objective fact, right? And they make cool sounds, and that's almost enough for me. They do, again, just start to feel like normal enemies eventually, but they do make for fun combat encounters at least. And so I'm gonna put him up in C tier because again, I really like the design, and it carries over a lot better than the Lizalfos does right, like going actually into the gameplay compared to the picture. The Poe sisters, Joelle, Beth, Amy, and Meg, which I love. Those are their names, but I like them. I think that they're cool because they have like a puzzle element involved with them. They make the Forest Temple kind of feel all connected because you're going to different parts of it, but still dealing with the same kind of enemy. The color and the design being different for them is, I think, a good touch. Like, you easily could have just have them look exactly the same, but they didn't. They went the extra mile on that, and so yeah, I think that these are pretty good, especially when it just comes to a sub boss. And so I think I'm gonna go B tier. Now we get our first real boss, being Adult Link. It's Phantom Ganon, Evil Spirit from Beyond. This is a cool fight. Does it get kind of recycled later? Sure. Does it get improved on later? Yeah, I think so. He's riding a horse. He's jumping from paintings. You got to shoot him with your bow. I think he's an A tier. I hate it when you're looking at the paintings and then he's coming and then he turns around. I hate looking at the wrong painting. It's unsatisfying. It's not a fun thing to have happen. Yeah, I don't know. I think his face is cool. I think that the mask that he has on, or I don't know if that is a mask or his face, whatever. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, the Phantom Ganon shows up in a bunch of different Zelda games, and this one might be my favorite when it comes to presentation and everything. Now, this might be controversial, but I think I'm going to be putting the Flare Dancer mini boss in F tier. I don't like bosses that I have to shoot with the hook shot. I don't like it. I don't think that it's fun. I like using the hook shot for, traversal and puzzle solving, but for me, using it, having to switch to like your sword or using the hammer or whatever, I don't know, for whatever reason, I just don't enjoy that mechanic. And so, and the design of it is, I mean, it's kind of funny when you see the little guy running around, but overall, yeah, it doesn't do it for me. Volvagia, the Subterranean Lava Dragon. That's easily going to be an A tier. I think I'm going to go below King Dodongo, though. It's a cool fight. Dragons are cool. Fire is cool. You smash his head with a giant hammer. That's cool, too. Yeah, I don't know, but it does have like that whole element where you're like, I hope this is where the guy pops up. And then maybe there's a way to know for sure, but maybe I'm just not smart enough to have ever figured it out or have looked it at. But yeah, I think it's really, really fun thematically and story-wise. It's like chomping on Gorons. It gives you a reason to want to go in and kill him, right? I think that this game does a good job of that with most of the bosses. I know why they're there. I know what they're doing is bad, and it's time to stop them from doing what they're doing. So yeah, I have no problem putting him up in A tier. The White Wolfos, though, that's gonna be just a D tier again. I don't know, it's just a recolor of the other wolves. Sure, it is a little bit stronger, but it's an enemy type that we've seen already. Like, it's not like we get introduced to it with it being a mini boss. It's like, oh, it's another wolf. Okay, and it makes sense that it's white because I'm in the snow. So, whatever. I'm gonna go D. I'm gonna go from D. I'm going down to F. Yeah. I just don't like it. It's fine. I mean, the combat in this game is good, whereas like almost none of these feel like really bad. That like I hate it. Like, I don't think I hate any of these things, but like you gotta put some things lower on the tier list. And so Dark Link, I am kind of mixed on. I think I'm going to go B tier. I'm going to go below Gohma. Like, it can be a really difficult fight when you don't know what you're doing. But if you, like, learn different exploits for him, it's, you know, it kind of takes a lot of it down. I don't know. It's pretty cool, though. And it's a good look. Like, just the shadow version of him. Morpha. Giant aquatic amoeba. It's got the same problems as the flare dancer, but I think even worse, right? Because it's like you don't know where it is as much. It's all like down on the ground, and then it grabs you and throws you around, which is kind of cool. I'll put it above. I'll go there, but it's not a high point. Like, it, I wish the water temple had a better boss, because then at least then I'd be like, yeah, it's worth it. But, you know, Dead Hand. Now this is what I'm talking about. When it comes to mini bosses, this is great. Anything that we can consider nightmare fuel, anything where you're like, like when you're playing it as a kid and you're like, man, I don't know if this is okay for me to see. But, you know, it is, because you're playing a game that's rated E for everyone. But you're like, oh, this is kind of really creepy. And still feels that way, like, as an adult. That's good stuff. Dead Hand, though, is cool. The way his mouth gets all long and everything, and the hands coming out of the ground, and how he just burrows and waits until you get grabbed before he, you know, starts coming at you. And the fact that you have to, like, fight as a kid. Go. Good stuff. I think I'm gonna go in A tier. See, here's the problem with this game and ranking its bosses is that, I mean, they're just all pretty good. So putting things down in F tier, it's really like, yeah, they're still fine. But then also you're like, there's just so much good stuff that I can't put everything in like S tier. Like, my A tier is already way too heavy. But I think I might put top of A tier is going to be Bongo, Phantom Shadow Beast. It's just so cool that you have to go on this big drum and fight this thing that is like invisible, and the design of it, when you can see it, its hands floating off of its body, and its weird like petal head kind of reminds me of like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. And the fact that it just like exists in this giant dark void, also very cool, very creepy, very much something I'm a fan of. Yeah, easily, that's A tier. Then we got our last mini boss, and that's the Iron Knuckles. These are cool. I enjoy these because even though they do repeat as enemies, every time one shows up, you're like, uh-oh, here we go. It's going to be a fight, and hopefully I'll be okay. I think that I want to go... I'm going to go above Dark Link. Just right there for B tier. The fact that they kind of, you know, get faster when you knock their armor off and everything, it's all very, very fun in a way that it adapts. It just, I don't know, I just like it. Plus the size of that axe that they're just throwing around, and then they can destroy the environment around you, like just blasting the pillars, is super cool. We got Twinrova, Sorceress Sisters next, right? And I like them more as characters. Like, I think that they're fun. Like, they're bickering and everything. Like, they're an entertaining duo to see interact. And like, I kind of wish there was more of that, like throughout the whole game and everything, that you could see them interact with like Ganondorf and everything. But when it comes to the actual fight, just having to blast the red one with the blue beam and the blue one with the red beam is not that exciting to me. It is cool, like when they're using the beam and everything, but like the fact that then they combined and you gotta like absorb the right powers, and you're just like waiting, like, oh, I hope I get a fire one now. I hope I get a fire one. Oh, she threw another ice one, so I just gotta look out for that. that's not that fun. And so I'm gonna put her, I think I'll go B tier one more time. Yeah, I'll go B tier there. And that's gonna bring us to Ganondorf. Ganondorf, great king of evil. And in my opinion, like going up the stairs and entering the hall or the big room where Ganondorf is playing the giant organ is, and from there until the end of the game, is maybe one of the most fun like finales to a video game ever. And like still even replaying it now, because it just feels like you're doing something really, really big. The fact that you have to actively run through the castle and everything to escape is really awesome. Again, that's not part of the boss fight itself, but so like I mentioned before with Phantom Ganon, they've reused some of this stuff, but here like you're not able to lock on with it, which is like pretty much all of combat in the entire game has been like connected to that, and the fact that you can't do that now, you have to manually be aiming both with your bow and then also with the sword when you're volleying his energy blasts back and forth are just really good. Plus his design is so cool, and he's got the cape, and his laugh is awesome, and the music is fantastic. He's gonna be, I mean, obviously you can tell at this point because there's nobody else up there, but he is S tier for sure. And then you beat him, and then he destroys the castle, and then he busts out of the rubble, right? And you get the final boss of the game, Ganon. And I mean, just with the story and the build up, and again with the music, everything just feels huge. It actually feels like it's the end of the world. Like there's a lot of games where it's like, if we don't do this, if we don't stop this guy, everything is lost. And it genuinely feels like that when you're playing this game. And it's fun too. Like, and there's multiple ways like you go about fighting him. Like if you're just smacking him in the tail, or if you're using the light arrows, like you can do either of those options. And the fact that you can not even realize that one of them is an option, the fact you lose your best weapon, I don't know, man, it's just so cool. And that's why in my opinion, I think you finish off with the best fight of the game, which is what you would hope for, right? The rest of the game is kind of up and down with those bosses, but finishing off with the two best boss fights in the entire game, for me, that's just the way to do it. And that's it. That wraps it up. Again, if you like this list, let me know in the comments below, or by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that. And yeah, hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.